And we are back on the live stream one more time. The day keeps on going. The experts keep on rolling. It is a non-stop parade of knowledge here, folks. Let me tell you, every person under the sun who understands this space is making a visit at this very desk. And I am pleased to be interviewing them. My next subject matter expert dropping by is Leaden Leaden. Stephen, how you doing?
Great. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Now, Stephen, did I get your last name right?
It's Leaden, right?
And I said Leaden?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
So I win.
You win.
All right.
Big time.
Because that's the biggest challenge as being an interviewer is I always mess up the names. And for those of you who have been watching and sending me your little social media notes, I know I'm messing them up, but I'm trying really hard. Now, Stephen, you're with Leaden Associates, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So just for the benefit of our audience, before we get into kind of today's conversation, tell us a little bit about what Leaden Associates is all about.
Sure. We're an independent, objective, unified communications consulting firm. We do a lot in the contact center space. We do a lot in the wide area network, SD-WAN and MPLS spaces as well. We work typically for mid to large enterprise customers. We do a lot in the healthcare space, a lot in university, financial services as well. Great notable clients, very fortunate, and headquartered out of the New York metro area. Some of our clients are local to the New York metro and others are national.
So how would I know, just having some fun with you, how would I know I'm a good client for you?
So if you have a culture that you've done a lot of mergers and acquisitions recently, I'll give you one example. We have a healthcare client who was dormant forever, who actually recently acquired a number of other hospitals and also found out that their system was going at end of support. And they called us in to do a whole needs assessment around all the healthcare providers that they now own, and to do a whole procurement process around that and project manage this entire project. So it was originally around 7,000 endpoints, now 20,000 endpoints, and our group can project manage and step them through that whole process.
So organizations that are in transition are trying to maybe rationalize their IT footprint as they've done the mergers and acquisitions.
Totally, yep.
With a complex environment would benefit from having a conversation with you.
Absolutely. And specific to healthcare, this whole idea of telemedicine and video, point-to-point or video into the contact center has just become a huge talking point amongst all of our clients too. So it's because it's getting reimbursed now by Medicare, Medicaid, at least in New York to start, amongst others, and it's just taking off like wildfire. It's a huge topic.
Now you mentioned earlier in our conversation the idea of one of your clients found their technology was end of life.
Yes.
Now let me kind of segue on that little pivot. You just did a session on Avaya. What do you do now because of bankruptcy, which I find tends to affect your life?
Yes. So the whole topic is around risk, right? So it's about end of support. It's about maybe caps on existing systems. You can't add capacity, again, because of mergers and acquisitions. And in this particular case yesterday, it was a company that has now gone into Chapter 11. And is it a restructure? That's what they're saying. And the audience was pretty compelling. We had about 90% of an audience of close to 300 that were Avaya users. They really wanted to know what was going on. So it was pretty compelling. And what we did was we really talked about what happens with a company in general as it goes into Chapter 11. There appears to be a lot of promise with Avaya going forward with at least the steps that they're currently taking. They're very, very active. And we hope that within the next 6 months they're going to recover from bankruptcy, but again, that's to be determined at the moment. And what we did in the interim was to lay out a contingency plan as to what they need to be doing going forward, and at least instead of just staying static and waiting for the shoe to drop potentially a second time, where that might go, is to really be very proactive within their own environment and at least take steps to inventory as well as get current on what exactly their environment holds, and then get budgetary pricing as well as, and we're really big on this, to find ways to manage the costs down at the end of the day so that they can create a capital fund for the project, almost self-funding, if you will.
So in some regards, it's not about sitting back and waiting, as you said, for the final shoe to drop.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to.
Because they may come out of the restructuring just fine and life is grand, but we don't know. So what I'm hearing you say is take the proactive approach of actually figuring out what's plan B or maybe plan C and what's going to cost, and start maybe lining up your ducks, so to speak, your budget, your people, your resources, just in case.
Absolutely. And users are now, as we're seeing a lot at the show, all about the cloud. The the CAGR is, almost in double digits now, and therefore where is that particular market going? And every one of our clients is now looking at cloud as an option. So even with these large healthcare providers that are premise-based, that prefer to stay premise-based, they are also looking at the cloud now.
So now, isn't that actually an interesting segue? Because out of something bad could come something good, in the sense of using Avaya as an example, but many technology companies have been in this situation where they've had to restructure or they've run into hard times. If I have an investment in a solution and that company is no longer able to support me at the end of life or whatever, that's actually an opportunity.
Absolutely.
To re-architect for the next stage of growth.
Absolutely, totally agree with you. So what we do with any client is that not just look at the new technology, but to actually take a holistic look at your environment to say, how can I be running my contact center better? What is my customer experience like at the end of the day? How can we improve on that? How can we improve on delivery of communication services in any form, really? It can be a chat, it can be video, it can be voice, it can be email, it can be any kind of channel, if you will, okay, to get to that user. How can I connect my environment better? And it's a great way to really take a fundamental look, as though I'm almost, and this is what I say to clients all the time, think of yourself as Greenfield, that you're a startup and that you have a chance to really build it from scratch the way you want to. And that kind of opportunity does exist for any of those customers that are at risk.
Do you find that hard? Because if I'm heads down in the weeds and I'm trying to support, again, we'll just continue the Avaya theme.
Sure.
Support, this solution, Avaya, and all of a sudden you're saying to me, this is an opportunity. Greenfield, think big picture. Isn't my immediate reaction to say, that's great, but I got issues right now and I don't have answers right now. What do I do?
So there's definitely answers that you have to contend with. You have to deal with the immediate, issues. Are there SLAs that vendors are missing? Are they not supporting you right? Are we short on spares? Are the technicians that are servicing us, qualified, or are we losing technicians, which is typically what happens at end of support, not specific to Avaya, but on any product that's
any
in
company's
support.
in transition,
yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah, that's in transition, exactly. So, do a checkup from the neck up, for lack of a better word, in terms of just matching to what does my environment look like? How can we take those immediate steps to fix the short term, as well as take that longer term vision?
Do you find with your clients where they've been so heads down with their maintaining and supporting, shall we say, their existing investments, that when they have to come up for air and kind of say, okay, I need to re-architect, I need to look at my new options, that it's overwhelming for them?
Yes, in some cases, yes. And actually, in a lot of cases, yes. And I'll tell you why. Because over the last 8 years, most corporations have been, and most organizations have been right-sized to the point where everybody is pretty short-staffed.
Right.
So you typically are working on the day-to-day functions and keeping your head at least, above the neckline, if you will, in the water.
There's not a lot of extra cycles, shall we say.
No, exactly. But to have that larger vision and to really take that forward, it takes getting out of the pool, so to speak, and getting on the deck and sitting back and saying, now let's look at our organization. Let's take a look, and we do this with clients all the time. Let's see what our chairman and the vision for the company is looking like, and how can we marry this tool called communications, unified communications, contact center communications, whatever the tool might be. How can we marry that as a tool to enhance our vision for the organization going forward?
So I love what you're saying there, because I can, as you say, I can come up for air and I can work with someone like yourself, someone with Leaden Associates, and I can, working with you, I love that you just said to me, we can look at what is the goal and the objectives of the organization at the executive level, so that we can tie that vision with the next solution. So for a couple of reasons. A, you're supporting the business plan. B, if you do that, there's a good chance you'll actually get the financial support you need to move forward with that investment, because it does support and further the cause.
Absolutely. So give you one example, we worked for a major university, 24,000 endpoints, and we found out that the chairman had a 5-year vision on sending students to third world countries. And what we did was we incorporated a UC client in every one of their tablets and allowed them the opportunity to work remotely or attend a class remotely, with the class actually on Long Island, but one of their students could be in Zimbabwe attending real time with them as well.
So that's brilliant. And that, if I'm sitting in my day-to-day, support and nurturing of the existing investments in my infrastructure, I am not going to know about that initiative.
Right.
So that's brilliant. All right. Now you've got another session coming up, if I understand,
yes,
on industry consolidation. Is that right?
That actually happened yesterday.
It happened.
Sorry.
Okay. Man, you've been busy. I can't keep up. How did that go? What was the discussion about?
So it was about really as the industry takes form and takes shape, and as the industry consolidates,
Yep.
okay, which we are really at that prime time, really in the timeline of UC where everything's beginning to mature. We're starting to see consolidation amongst carriers as well as acquisitions of specialized companies into the larger firms, if you will. How do you protect yourself? You protect yourself in a number of ways, but one of them is just being in contract mode when you start your contracts with your current provider, that you have specific clauses that protects you from going into support, if you will, or anything along those lines. The other thing that we also looked at a number of things, but the other one was the fact that we could look at, again, if you're at end of support, kind of going back to that, maybe, and if we need a fast ramp up because of, again, a risk that's attached to the firm, we can consider potentially a cloud solution that could ramp up within 60, 90 days, that could never have that flexibility, if you will, for a premise-based solution. And that's not the only solution, but it's one form of it. And finally, it's really about the vision of saying there's now, for example, Microsoft Skype for Business, okay, that has overlap with Cisco being Spark and Jabber and other kinds. There's two examples. And which particular platform are you going to pick for your UC platform? Is one or your video platform going? And you can mix and match, if you will, depending upon what your solution is. And the bottom line is you really have to kind of take a step and really create a proof of concept around both, okay, and bake it off within your firm, and then create at least a standard for which to go forward. And then that becomes part of your consolidation as well as another strategy.
You have a session tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
So I got that timing right.
Perfect.
Yes, and that session, if I understand, is on video over SIP trunking. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So
what should we expect in that session?
So video is taking off big time now. I think video is really the next step in unified communications to go mainstream.
It's huge, yeah.
Okay, it's very popular here at the show. There's been tracks on it. Some vendors including Zoom Communications now, for example, offer. There's not only on a Zoom room or desktop platform, but they also offer it on Android and iPhones as well for free, actually, on those apps. So anyway, we've been using it, so it's pretty decent. In fact, excellent. So the bottom line, though, is that video just takes up a ton of bandwidth, okay? At least 12 to 14 times that of a voice call, okay, with codecs that are non-compressed. But the challenge becomes, where do I handle that bandwidth? How do I handle the quality of service that goes with that particular stream, if you will, for video, okay? And we're also dealing with not just video internally within the organization, but externally to sister companies or partners or other firms, and how do we tie this all together? So video typically over the public net has always been internet up until now, and how do we look at potentially options that can at least give us some kind of quality of experience? The other thing we're going to be talking about, of course, is security going through that, as well as interoperability. If we have Polycom on one side, Cisco on the other, Logitech on another, how do we connect all of these so that everybody can talk to one another? So should prove to be a very interesting session. It's early adopter, which is a great session for users to be planning going forward with video in that realm.
Fantastic. All right. If people want to learn more about Leaden Associates, where can they go to find more information?
Great. Our website is www.leaden, that's LEADEN.com, okay? And they can feel free to shoot me an email, sleaden@leaden.com. That's my first initial last name. Or you can call me on my cell phone, 917-841-1541, always accessible.
It's Enterprise Connect, and you've just got every way possible to connect to Stephen Leaden of Leaden Associates. Stephen, thanks for your time today. It was awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you again with the next live stream happening right away. Talk to you soon.